Hi all, welcome to my team of the season for Community TOTS. Obviously the vote was made live on Monday, and looking over everything, generally most of the cards that are featured make a lot of sense. There's the odd card here or there. I'm surprised they've actually included in this and not maybe say for either the respective league or for whatever, but is what it is. We will obviously get into our vote, see who we think kind of deserves the cut and take it from there. So my feeling is, in terms of the goalies, because obviously we have 5, we have 7 goalies, and looking at everyone, De Gea is a very deserving shout, probably even for Premier League TOTS if you wanted. Sommer, solid job at Mönchengladbach. Went to Bayern, he's been pretty steady for them as well, stepping in for, because obviously Neuer's injury. Lafont's been pretty consistent throughout the season. Vicario, despite Empoli's current league position, he's been a big part of their season. Livakovic, pretty steady. Ray in Argentina, for what they've played, he's been very consistent for Independiente. And then Lewis for Bradford, pretty consistent as well. But for me, the 2 goalies I personally feel they will go for is De Gea and Lafont. If I was to say the alternative, I think Livakovic, but De Gea is my main goalie for goalkeepers for TOTS. From defensively, there's a lot of good shouts here. We've got Robertson, who I don't feel deserves a spot in this, but he's probably one of these like EA picks, and also because he's high rating. Danilo's been consistent for Juventus, but another one I just don't feel deserves a shout. Nuno Santos, big season for him for Sporting, been playing all over the place, like left wing back, left wing, left mid, so he's been all over the place really throughout the season. Tavenier is very consistent. Gertruder, another inconsistent player throughout the season. Jose Gaya, despite Valencia's position, it has been good, but for me personally, I don't feel he deserves in. He's probably one defender I'm afraid that I would admit. Vincent Biani, he just goes about his business. He's very consistent. That's what you want in your defender. Bartra, interesting move going to Turkey, but it's been a steady, consistent season from him. Otamendi, very steady for Benfica. What his waiting will come down to is actually because of Argentina during the World Cup. He could be another EA pick. Community, big part of Napoli season, very impressive at the start of the season and been very consistent since. Can't fault that. Garotta for Nantes. As I said, Nantes have had individual players within their team, and to be honest, Garotta for me, I'm surprised he's not a bigger club. He's like Ludovic Blas for Nantes, very consistent player, but could probably do it at a bigger team if I'm honest. Nathan Ake stepped in very impressively this season, and I think he will be a good shout. Desazi, Trimmel, these guys kind of fall in the bracket of just consistent for their teams. Same way Martinez, Quarter and Gradit. These players are just, they're doing their job for like their respective teams. Martinez Quarter has been very, very consistent this season for Fiorentina domestically and in Europe, so should stand in good spot. Bell, Solid, Van Ewijk, all very other consistent players within the league. Abdul Hamid, big defensive season from him for Al Hilal. See if he sneaks in. De Kuiper, Davis, Kaibu, Felhau. They're like the Cooper's going to be up there. He's definitely the Cooper could be possibly like either like it's like this is why they should do Benelux or Pro League One. Like he's going to run close. Davis for me should get an EFL, not in this personally. But this is the challenge that you sometimes find. Like the 4 that I'm going to go for, and this is just my opinion, obviously. But Tavernier's pretty much a lock in my opinion. Gertruder will either get in the Eredivisie TOTS or this, but he should be getting in regardless. Kim Min-jae is my 4th pick. Like this is my main 4, by the way. I'm saying, folks, important to kind of factor that in. And then Nathan Ake is my 4th pick. If I was to go anyone else, I'd probably lean toward the likes of Nuno Santos, Garota, Martinez Quarter, and Gradit personally. But it all depends how many they actually do. And you've got to remember as well, even though there's like 100 players, quite a lot of them will feature in either their other TOTS or within different like objective or SBC fruit TOTS potentially. Midfielders is going to be the hardest one to kind of determine, because this has a lot of very consistent players. Parejo, pretty much a lot of them just write themselves. Parejo, Coleman, Bernardo Silva, Talisca. Rice is a tricky one. Like, West Ham have been poor, but he's been steady. Not as high as expected as he probably would have thought he'd have done. Zielinski, Gerhard, Horta, Benacer, Chukwueze. These guys have like Chukwueze has really shown this since pretty much the World Cup. Like, he is a talented little player. Tavio, Calhanoglu, Junior Ito, Merno, Goodwin. Like, the list goes on. The midfield is probably the hardest. Like, this is only three. It's a 4-3-3. But honestly, when you break through like all these players, like Thuram, personally, he's been good, but not where I would say 100% a given. Ligi, Sung, Buliaski, Turgaloo, Lafay's been super consistent. Ladero's a bit of an odd one. Like, MLS has not only just started, and like, yes, they had end of the season. It's during FIFA the FIFA 23 cycle, but it's a bit of a hard pick to justify. Veerman, Josue, Ritsu, Duan. Ritsu's going to get in simply because of everything that he's had this FIFA, like the team of the tournament, team of the year honourable mentions, and all that kind of stuff. Edson Fernandez, Brownhill making this is odd. Like, he's made the EFL vote, yet he should make EFL TOTS personally. Rahimi is very, very consistent. He could be someone that may move away from there unless he's happy with the money. Uzuri, Jolinton, Victor Clayson, I've always rated Clayson, to be honest, regardless of where he goes. St. Ho, Trezor, Hatati, obviously his injury might hamper him a wee bit. Meyer, Salcedo. Like, the problem is, I love how you've got Gabriel Vega at the end there. Like, he's going to feature. The question is how. That's the problem. And same for a lot of these. Like, a lot of these players. Like, how many actual midfielders have we got? Let's quickly count it. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 to Goodwin. 16, 17, 18, 19, 21, 22 to Ladero. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 30. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 to Salcedo. 37, 38, 39, 40. About 41 midfielders, and probably half of this midfield deserve a TOTS, to be brutally honest. Well, maybe not quite half. Maybe at least a good third. I'll say at least a good third. My main three I am going to lean towards is Danny Parejo, because he's always super consistent and you can never fault him. I will probably then say Bernardo Silva. Like, do I go Bernardo Silva? Like, he's been consistent, but does he make this or does he make Prem? He'd probably make this over Prem. Talisca's another big key part. If you're going big, the highest rated three, these are your highest rated three. And then, like, in terms of like other players that I think will make the cut, you're probably looking at, like, say, Horta, Chukwueze, Otavio, Goodwin, like Lafay, Ritsu, Brownhill. Brownhill will either make this or EFL, as I said. Jolinton, Victor Clayson, Hatati, Salcedo, Gabriel Vega. It's going to be interesting, and it's part of the challenge. The forwards part is actually probably the easiest, I would say. Like, you've got Tadic, Rodrigo Garcia, Concalo Ramos, Gabriel Jesus, Delafeu. Pretty much everyone's been pretty consistent and steady. Like, Mbolo's maybe one of the few that I probably wouldn't overly go with. Maybe even Marat as well, maybe, or even Tadic. But like, the lowest rated out of all of them, that's like for me personally, like, first half season form, Becker would feature no problem. He would make the cut in this, no problem. Second half of the season's been a little bit suspect from him. But for me, Concalo Ramos is probably the one that you're going to get in. Jesus, I think, will sneak in this because of he won't make Prem TOTS. That's my personal opinion. Then the third spot is up for debate. Like, Moffey deserves in. That's a given. The challenge then is like who else gets in. Like Alexis Sanchez deserves in because he's been a big part of Marseille's season. The problem is if he does feature, what rate does he go? Because I get the feeling Marseille is going to get the 6 victories and he will get the 4th upgrade on his Foot Fantasy card to make him 94. Therefore, his team this season has to be at least 96 to make him actually different. Like that's like. And like that's when it comes to if he features for Ligue 1, he'll be like 97. Others that should get in, whether it be for this or maybe rest of the world, for example, Jota, like Mariki's going to be close. Like Mariki, I think could even be like your objective card. Personally, he's been very consistent for Mallorca despite the bad form that they've had the last like 7-8 games. From there, it's going to be interesting, like how they who they pick. Like Aitor and Garcia may get a sniff, but for me, this is the 11 strongest that I'm going for now. But yeah, I wasn't wanting to show because the thing is, you could do your 11, and then you'd have like your players that you'd maybe have for objectives. So like for me, if they were to do. We'll break it down of like one player in each group that we think will be the objective and the SBC card from there. So my feeling is SBC card would be objective or SBC would be Livakovic and Lafont. They may even make Lewis the silver star just to be interesting, or Ray. From defensively, I think they would pick in terms of like objective cards, maybe the likes of Martinez Quarter, Gradit, maybe even Gaia. For example, they may even go Gaia just because it's Gaia. That's my 3 that I think they would go for. Silver Stars wise, they may go to Cooper for that. Objective SBC cards from here, they may go Zielinski, they may go Horta, they may go Kalinoglu. Goodwin's a shout. Merino's also equally worth a shout. Lafay. Do they do a double Ritsu objective, or like that'd be quite an impressive feat. Gedson Fernandez is going to be there or thereabouts. Hatate, Salcido, these players may possibly feature as silver stars, but I feel both deserve to get in some context regardless. Gabriel Vega could be another SBC that he might even be like 89, 90 rated, for example. Well, they've got to make him a bit beefed up from the player of the month. In terms of forwards, Rodrigo could be another SBC or objective. Lapadula, Delafeu, these kind of players. Mbolo, Davidson, Jota and Mariki dependent. And maybe even like Chuco Hernandez. This could also be how they do like a special squad foundation, for example, for the smaller leagues. So because there's quite a few Scottish Premiership players, for example, like Hatate, Jota, Tavenier, they may do them as a block. So you might get SPFL squad foundations. Because there's quite a few MLS players, you might get like Chucho. This could be a sign that it's Chucho Ladero, for example, and I will even put that up as a concept idea, and they might do the same for other leagues. But let me know, folks, in the comments down below who you think makes your community tots. I'm going to run through them all as like the days and weeks go, so that because obviously they're going to be thick and fast anyway, so it's good to get ahead of time. So have a good one, folks. Take it easy all, and I'll speak to you all later.